Hello, it's Alpha here, and we are back with some more Arena stuff. So about a month ago I made a Arena top 20 meta video where I talked about the different defense teams that people are using on my server and then how I've been attacking those teams. So I decided to make an updated video now with Tasi included because she has been showing up on different defense teams, at least on my server. So this is maybe something that I can do like once a month maybe. And yeah, obviously this is only based on my server, well at least mostly based on my server, so things can look a bit different on your server because it might be older or newer server than mine, or maybe people have just invested on different heroes, but hopefully you can still find some useful information from this video. So right now, mostly on the top 20 teams that I see are two kind of teams. One team is the Lily May and Scarlita team, and then the other three heroes might be a bit different based on the team. And then the other team is Tasi and Lily May, and then once again the other three heroes are a bit different based on who's the player who has the defense team. But these are pretty much the only teams that I'm seeing right now. So we can start with the Lily May plus Scarlita team, which is kind of the old meta team, or at least the meta team that was already there when I made my last video. And yeah, the core of the team is Lily May, Scarlita, and then you have a tank and two healers. And if you want other teams, how to win against this team, you can check my previous video. I think I used all kinds of different teams trying to win against it, like I had Vala team and some teams that were using OD and stuff like that. This time I haven't been really using any other teams except this one. This is the team that I mostly use against this Lily May and Scarlita team, so basically the same team except that instead of Damien I use Coco, which I find that is quite effective. And then I also did do some testing with like Tasi, and Tasi with one healer and like one tank. This could be Thoran as well. And the Tasi team was also able to get some decent wins. So usually it depends on what artifact they're using, what artifact I use. But if they're using Enlightening Spell, I actually usually use Confining Spell. And then the other way around, if they're using Confining Spell, I probably usually use Enlightening Spell. So when it comes to winning against this team, it's mostly about finding the correct timing of things. So what you want to happen if you're running this kind of team, what you want to happen is that when both of the Scarlitas comes down to the battlefield, because no one is gonna die before the Scarlitas comes down, because these heroes don't have enough damage to kill anyone with the two supports being there. So it pretty much always comes down to two Scarlitas coming down to the battlefield, and then who has the better timing with Scarlita. So you kind of want to have your Coco ultimate go off when the Scarlitas land off, or you want to have your Haven ultimate go off when the Scarlitas land, and then you're usually able to win. So you kind of have to do trial and error to some extent to find out the perfect timings, because there are a lot of different things that will affect the timing of Haven's ultimate, for example. So things like Confining Spell will slow down the Haven's ultimate. Damien has a stun, which usually hits your healer like Haven if you don't have Enlightening Spell. And then, of course, things like Paragon levels will affect the ultimate timings, exclusive weapons, etc. So even though I'm gonna be able to show you what my placement is and what my heroes are, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you just copy my formation that you will win. But at the same time, if you are able to find a working formula, it's not gonna be like a very RNG based battle usually. And I can show you an example of my attacks from a couple of days ago. So I did 7 attacks against different teams that were running Scarlita and Lily May. And I was able to win all of the 7 attacks. And these are all different people with different teams. So it's not very random based once you actually kind of have a working way of defeating a team. Obviously there is still randomness involved to some extent, so sometimes you can still lose. So this is the team that I've been using, and mostly the placement that I've been using. Actually, nowadays I usually have Haven where the Scarlita is, and then Scarlita where here behind Coco, but the Scarlita placement doesn't really matter, but I usually place my Haven here. And also my Coco is now +10. I think that helped a lot as well, making this more consistent, having Coco at +10. But even before she was +10, I was still able to use this team to win these fights. But now it's even more like consistent. So this is the placement. So I didn't like write all of the wins and losses for all of these teams, but this was able to win 2 out of the 3 fights. And basically same placement against a little bit different opponents' placement, won both of the fights. This one won 5 out of the 5 fights. So it's like 100% win rate against this one, although I think most of the fights were with +10 Coco, so I somewhere between taking this screenshot and doing all of the fights, I upgraded my Coco to +10. And yeah, this one was also win, but it was pretty random. So with this placement, this opponent's placement, I think it was the most random compared to the other ones. The other ones felt like really sure wins, but with this placement it was not as clear who was gonna win. So I think there is more randomness with this placement. And here you can see the placement that I nowadays use. So Haven is here. And because the opponent is using Confining Spell, I'm using Enlightening Spell. Now sometimes it doesn't work even with Enlightening Spell. So sometimes when they use Confining Spell, you can also try dropping Haven and then using your own Confining Spell and using Damien instead of Haven. So that might be good variation of this team. But yeah, I do have couple clips of these teams fighting, or at least one clip, so I'm gonna show that now. So yeah, this was my defense team for some time, and I think it was working pretty well. But now I think I'm using this one, if I remember correctly, and I think this one is also working well, so probably I recommend trying this one out. And this placement was able to win against my team. I mean, there are other placements that can win against it as well, but this one was also able to win against this placement, but I still think it's a good team. So yeah, here are the teams I think that I would recommend you to try if you want to use these heroes as your defense. So these are the 2 basically same heroes in 3 different formations. You can test them all out and see which works best for you. And then this is something that might be worth trying. This is basically the team formation that I am using when I'm attacking. So maybe it could also work for defense, but I haven't really done much testing with this one on defense. Now obviously there are a couple of things that are kind of bad when it comes to defense team. Like you have these 2 heroes that are allowing people to do Rainier swap, but nowadays people are not really using Rainier that much, at least on the top 20, and these are not like the best Rainier swap targets, so maybe even though technically you can do Rainier swap on both of these heroes, then people might not bother doing it, so you might be able to get away with this one. Also, your Haven is kind of unprotected here, but you're running Enlightening spell, so maybe it's okay even if your opponent decides to do something like run Vala. And yeah, you could also try, instead of Haven, you could try something like Damien here, or maybe here, and then use Confining spell instead of Enlightening spell if you want to test this one out. But these ones are more like tested defenses that seem to be working pretty well. So yeah, if you want to use this team, I recommend trying this out. Then we have variation of this basically same team, so Lily May and Scarlita, but instead of Thoran, if you have Phraesto, you can try using him instead, and then you can do double healers once again, so the only thing that you are kind of replacing is, instead of Thoran, you're using Phraesto, but then on our server, people are also using these ones with Phraesto and one healer instead of two healers. Now I think this defense is pretty good, but I was able to find out a couple really kind of weaknesses against this team, so I'm gonna show them next. So I have used, when I'm fighting against these teams, I've been able to win using the same team that I just showed, basically. But I have been also able to win using this kind of burst team with Carolina and Arden, because most of the people who are running this team with just one healer, they are also running Confining spell. So then, if you're able to kill the healer quite easily, then you can kill the whole team before Scarlita comes down. And this team is able to do it, for example. So I'm gonna show it that soon. And then I also did some attacks with Tasi teams, and they were also able to win against this team. So here are some of the placements that people have been using. So they have Phraesto, and then they have like Thoran linked to Haven. Then they have Phraesto giving energy to Scarlita. So everything is kind of fine, but as you can see, they have only one healer, and then the healer is not protected by Enlightening spell. So if you run burst team, you are able to kill the healer quite quickly, and then the whole other team also kind of crumbles. But yeah, I was able to win using the same formation as I shown previously, and then able to win also using like a Tasi team, just different placements with Tasi team, so these all worked. And this is other person using kind of the same team. I was also able to win using Vala, so the idea was to snipe the Haven with Vala, although I don't really recommend using this team because it's very random whether it works or not. First of all, it's still quite difficult to kill Haven with Vala because of the Scarlita shield, and Haven is just able to heal quite a lot by herself, so it's not guaranteed that you can quickly kill Haven, and even if you can kill Haven, then your Vala is kind of stuck here behind all of these like Thoran, etc., and then the enemy Lily May or Thoran might kill her quite quickly, and then you don't really have a good way to win after that. Now you could also, of course, try using something like dropping like two of the support heroes and using something like Arden and Scarlita, then maybe you would have better chance of winning then. But yeah, anyway, Vala it's possible to win against this team with Vala, but it's not very reliable. Instead, this kind of formation against this team is very reliable. I had pretty much 100% win rate with this placement, and I can show you a quick clip of this fight happening.
By the title of the swordsman.
and I was able to win against like Paragon 2, Lily Mace, etc. with like no Paragon heroes, or well, my Arden is Paragon, but yeah. Yeah, against this kind of basically similar team with Damien instead. Just using this same placement, I was able to win 3 out of 4 fights, but it was very random feeling fights, but still I was able to win most of the ones. And then like burst combination also was able to win, and some Tasi team was able to win. And I would say that if you want to use this kind of defense with Thoran, you probably have to run something like Haven with Enlightening Spell, because otherwise you are just too vulnerable to being burst down. But yeah, if you wanna use Phraesto, these are my recommendations on what I would personally do. So this is kind of like 2 healer version with Lily May, and so dropping the Thoran for 2nd healer, and this is the same thing, dropping the Thoran for 2nd healer. Now if you don't have, for example, Scarlita, or you don't have Damien or Haven, you could use any of these heroes instead, and it would probably still work pretty well, although obviously if you don't have Scarlita, then I don't think it's a good idea to run 3 supports. But if you don't have Scarlita, then run something like Arden or Florabelle or something like that. But one of these supports could be replaced with Thoran, for example, or another support. And yeah, this is, you can test this one. I think this one was probably the best performing one out of the ones that used Thoran with just 1 healer. But like I said, there are quite a few ways to win against this team. So it might be better to run Haven instead of Damien, and then use the Enlightening Spell on Haven. So you can test that one. Or you can try using this team on map 1. It's pretty decent in my opinion on map 1 as well, but I would maybe personally use the map 4 or these ones. But the map 1 is quite fine as well. Then we have the Tasi teams. So most of the Tasi teams are probably using the Special Arena 5. And then I think the optimal team is running Phraesto, Tailin, Lily May, and some other hero. But obviously not everyone has Phraesto or Tailin, so you can still do other teams as well. And I think these are kind of like the best options for attacking, so using some combination of these heroes when you're attacking. So I think kind of the key to winning against these Tasi teams is the Enlightening Spell. So you want to use Enlightening Spell on something like Haven, so that she can keep your team alive once during the Tailin ultimate happening and like Tasi ultimate happening, etc. Phraesto is really good for this map as well if you have him when you are like attacking. So you can run Phraesto on both sides. So you have tank on either side. Then obviously Lily May can interrupt Tasi or Tailin. Arden to some extent can be useful, because if the enemy is running Tailin, Arden can quite easily interrupt the Tailin. Shakir can be good, although like Shakir is good because he's able to, like, he has crowd control immunity once he does his ultimate. So if he's like the last one fighting Tasi, he can quite easily kill Tasi in like 1 versus 1 situation. But the issue with that I have had with Shakir, and I haven't been able to use him that well, is that I'm usually attacking into people who have like maybe 1 or 2 Paragon higher heroes than I have, so Shakir just dies too quickly. So I haven't really been able to use him that well, but but on Supreme Marino, for example, I have been in situations where Shakir just solos like Tasi and other heroes as well. So I can see why he is definitely potentially good against, especially if you are on like similar level to your opponent. Damien and Lily May are really good, because if the Tasi starts the battle with her ultimate, stunning everyone, that stun won't hit Damien or Lily May, so they are obviously good. Ludovic can also be pretty good, because the way that he works is that he starts the battle creating the flowers beneath him, and he's actually able to also dodge some crowd control effects when that happens. And also, even if he does get stunned, the flowers will still heal everyone who is around the flowers. So he's pretty good at dealing with Tasi teams. And then Odie can actually be really good, because Tasi will always go for your backline. So if you have Odie at your backline, then if Odie is able to ultimate Tasi, she will actually kind of die to that ultimate repeatedly. And then I don't know why I have Shakir written twice, but maybe that was meant to be Scarlita. Scarlita can be also good against Tasi teams, because she can smack Tasi out. So yeah, I think these are kind of the heroes that you want to be using. And Rainier can also be sometimes pretty good, because people are running like Haven on this position, for example, or maybe they're running Haven without Enlightening spell, so you can just snipe the Haven with Rainier, so then they don't have sustain anymore after that, and then you can use something like your own Tailin or your own Tasi or whatever. Well, yeah, if you have Tasi and Tailin, they can also be really good when you're attacking. So these are the basements that I have seen people use. I don't think this is very good placement, but someone was using it. And yeah, here I was testing using Shakir against this team, and I was able to win it, but the thing is that the Shakir almost died right away to like the Lily May, so that's why I'm kind of hesitant on using Shakir, because Lily May can actually kill him quite quickly. But yeah, we are using something like Haven with Enlightening spell to keep our team alive. Here is another setup that I was using. Once again, like double support, Lily May, Scarlita, and this one I think is like decent setup for the defense if you wanna do like Tasi defense, but yeah, not the optimal ones. Then this one is I lost one and won one. So the second one was also going well, but my Scarlita got killed by the enemy Thoran, so that's why I lost the second one. So there is some randomness involved with the Thoran, of course, and Scarlita. And here I was testing something like using Rainier to kill the Tasi quickly, and this one also worked. So I dropped the Scarlita because I lost to the randomness and instead tried with the Rainier, and that seemed to work. But obviously I did only one fight, so maybe it's not very very thorough testing, but yeah, maybe you can try something like this. Here we were fighting against like Paragon 2 Tailin and Paragon 2 other Paragon 2 heroes, and this team was able to win, but I don't think this placement is very good. And this one was better placement, so basically it's the same team, but I was able to win 3 out of 3 attacks with this placement, so this was a lot safer. So we were running once again Enlightening spell on Haven, but we didn't really need instant ultimate for Haven because the opponent is not running Tailin or Tasi on the instant ultimate tiles, so we don't need instant ultimate, so we just had like Lily May on the instant ultimate, and then we're running Ardent just to stop the Tailin from doing her ultimate. Then, yeah, this is just some random placement. Yeah, this is like a decent team that the opponent is using. So they have Tasi on the instant ultimate, and then Lily May and Scarlita. Now the Scarlita should be obviously here, but it doesn't really change that much that she's not there. So here we can see a situation where they have Haven that's not protected by enlightening spell or anything, crowd control, not protected from crowd control. So I was able to use Rainier to swap the Haven here, and then my OD is able to kill Haven quickly, and then OD can also like help killing the Tasi, etc. So I have a clip of this fight happening. Okay, so here is another formation. Now I think this one is better, like pretty good option that you could try. And it was quite difficult because once again they have like Paragon 2 heroes, so the damage that Paragon 2 Talon is able to do is a lot. So what ended up working is just running 3 support heroes. And then hoping that Scarlita comes down and kills the enemy, and that's basically what happened. I have a clip of this fight happening as well.
Are you calling me?
Let's see.
And then this is the same one with different placement. So they have Talon on the instant ultimate, and they have Tasi on the instant ultimate, and then Lily May and Phraesto, and then they are running Burial. This team was the hardest to win. I tried a lot of times before I was able to find the winning team, but once again we are running 2 supports, and we're doing instant ultimate on Haven, and then we have 2 tanks in Phraesto, and then we are hoping that Scarlita can finish the fight, and that's exactly what happened. Now one thing to note here is that if you pay attention, we have Haven on instant ultimate, but she will actually get interrupted because she's the first one to ultimate. If I remember correctly, she's the first one to ultimate because we don't have anyone like Aaron or Brian who would bait the enemy Lily May's ultimate. So she's the first to ultimate and it gets interrupted instead. And that's fine because we don't actually need her to do instant ultimate because we are interrupting the Tasi, and Scarlita will Talon will be able to do her ultimate, but the damage from Talon's ultimate is not enough alone if we have Ludovic here healing everyone, and then we have Haven here healing as well, even though she doesn't get to do her ultimate. And then we have shields from Scarlita as well. And then we are able to use Haven's ultimate later on to keep our team alive once it's kind of more needed. So it's you don't always need the instant ultimate. You just have to kind of figure out how much damage you can take. Do you need the instant ultimate right away? Or yeah, because it's actually kind of bad to use the instant ultimate if you don't really need it. So we just let it be cancelled. So here is the fight happening. Yeah, here are a couple. These are outside from my own server, but just a couple basements that I've seen people using and how they were defeated. Yeah, you can use your own Tadine. And this placement was also able to win. I think this placement is quite common in like that you can use to defeat these kind of like teams with Tayleen on the instant ultimate and Tasi on the instant ultimate. This kind of formation is able to sometimes win against those teams. So if you wanna use the special map 5 with Tasi, I think you can try some teams like this. I think these are maybe the best versions of these teams. So here you have Tasi and Scarlita, and then you can use Damien instead of Ludovic if you don't have Ludovic, for example. This one is like okay, but this one should be quite easy to beat if the opponent knows what they're doing, but you can try it, of course. This one is probably the best one, I think, that I've seen. And instead of Scarlita, you could use Lily May, and then you would probably want to move your Damien next to your Lily May in that situation. Or you could use even Haven instead of Damien, but then if you use Haven, you should use Enlightening Spell in my opinion. Or you could try the Burial one that one of the defense teams that I showed was using, if you have Burial. Or you can do something like this. This works fine as well. If you don't have Phraesto, you can use Thoran instead. Or you can try something completely without kind of tank, and you're running Aaron instead to bait one of the to kind of like bait the enemy Lily May's ultimate, so that both your Tasi and Tayleen can ultimate. So I think these are the versions that I would try out. Now I don't actually have that much experience running Tasi and Tayleen on defense team, because I don't have Tayleen, so I'm not gonna be able to say which one I think is the best, but yeah, you can try these ones. I think these look the best to me. And then we have Tasi on Arena 3 or Arena 4, so not on the special Arena 5. So some people are trying out Tasi on this one as well. And I was able to win against this defense using like the same one that I've used against the first teams, like the Scarlita Lily May teams. So this one won both of the fights, so maybe not the best defense. And this one was a bit more tricky. I lost a couple of the fights, but I was able to win with this placement, I think. Yeah, one with the Damien, but lost one as well, and lost one with Haven. So this one seems a bit more random if you wanna use this defense. But then I tested out something using Odie instead. And I don't remember how many fights I did with the Odie, but it seems that I was able to win at least twice and probably didn't lose that many times. But there is some randomness going on with this team because sometimes the random part is whether Odie can kill the Tasi quickly, because even though Tasi flies here, sometimes she's kind of like in the regeneration phase when Odie gets his ultimate, so instead Odie can't target the Tasi because she's already like untargetable and healing, so Odie will ultimate someone else like Thoran, for example. But sometimes so it can go in different ways, especially if there is Lily May involved in this one. This team doesn't have Lily May, but if Lily May is involved, then it's even more random, because sometimes Lily May will interrupt your OD, and sometimes your OD will ultimate someone else than Tasi, and then you can lose because of that, because then the Scarlita comes down and the enemy Tasi will ultimate, and that combination will kill your team. But it's possible to win against Tasi teams using OD.
Let's go take it to him!
Here I was using the same old team and I was able to win. This Tasi defense is running the map 4, and I think this one is actually pretty good. So if I was you and I had these heroes, I would probably try this defense formation. But I was able to win using Odie once again, because the Tasi flies here. But I didn't win every time. I think I only tried twice and I won one and lost one, so it's a bit random whether you win or not, but I think it's pretty good defense. And this one was also quite difficult to win with the Odie tactic, so I tried something else, and I think this formation was able to win instead of the Odie one. So yeah, if I were to use Tasi outside of the Special Map 5, I would probably use this Arena 4 formation, at least try it out. And of course you can use, if you don't have Damien, you could use like Haven instead. And this could also work. I don't think I've seen anyone try this, but if I had these heroes, I would maybe try this formation. Yeah, this is fine. There is the possibility of like Rainier swap, so maybe if you notice that Rainier swap is happening often, then you have to switch it up a little bit. And this one is probably maybe safer one than this one. Or you could try the one that I showed, like someone else was using, and this one was working pretty well. That's it. Hopefully that was somewhat helpful. So basically I think I've been able to win every team in my server right now. So some of these variations should be able to win most of the teams that you're facing if your meta is anything similar to what it is on my server. But yeah. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!